Hello everybody, my name is Alex Schiller and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going shooting landscapes because I have the feeling, the need, and the desire to go into the wilderness and explore said wilderness. So we're going to do that. I have a couple of trails picked out. They're going to show up over my face because that's cool. And we're going to go check them out and hopefully get some cool shots. I'll tell you guys how I take landscapes and yeah, maybe it'll help you. Can I get 5 of your 8-piece $1 spicy nuggets? Thank you. Maybe it's because I live in a place that's like right next to nature and all that jazz, but like, why are you charging me $15 to come into a national park? Like, what are you doing with my taxes? Okay, first, before you say you're not wearing your mask anymore, I'm not around people. Everybody that I passed on this path has already gone that direction, so not by people. Definitely within 6 feet distance. The photos that you just saw me take are like quintessential landscape photos, especially of canyons, showing depth, showing trees, keeping the sky within its boundaries. So yeah, those are big things. One of the things that I want you guys to remember when shooting landscape is just because it's called landscape doesn't mean you can't shoot portrait, you know? So think about it that way. I have a couple vertical photos that I took that I think express depth and the landscape of the canyon very well. So maybe that's just my style. Maybe some people don't ever think you should shoot anything but landscape for landscape photography, but if used correctly, I think you can do that. One of the other major things that I've noticed on this trip is the fact that I am desperately out of shape. But the other thing is that always remember the triangle when taking photography. If you guys don't know what the triangle is, I'm thinking about making a video on it later this week, potentially next Monday, Wednesday, Friday, about ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. And those 3 things are super key, especially outside, because like if you're shooting in a controlled environment where you have a bunch of lights and stuff like that, the triangle becomes a bit of a haze. You need to worry about some of it, but not all of it. In nature, in landscape photography, you have to think about it all the time. You're constantly adjusting. You're constantly keeping... I'm gonna sit down. There's a bench here. Thank God. In landscape photography, you constantly have to be thinking about the triangle. You constantly have to be thinking about your ISO, your shutter speed, your aperture, because light will change. The sun doesn't care that you're trying to get the perfect golden hour shot. It's gonna go down at some point. The sun doesn't care that you're trying to get this specific shadow on a mountain. The sun doesn't care. That's kind of the point. And so you have to control everything that you're doing. Like right now, to get this video shot, I have to be at f13. I mean, I'm already at 1/125th of shutter speed, which is really dark in most controlled environments. Like, you should never shoot that low unless you're shooting like 60 frames per second video. And now I have to be at f15 and my ISO at 100 so that when I put my ISO on auto, it doesn't immediately, you know, shoot over to 1600 or something like that and way overexpose my image. So the big picture of that whole thing is just to make sure that you're thinking about the triangle every single time that you're shooting, especially outdoors. Also, I'm shooting only on a 24mm lens today because it's one of the cheaper like wide-angle lenses that Canon offers, and I'm trying to kind of fit in this budget realm. Obviously, or if I were trying to fit super budget, it would be like 18 to 55, but I don't need to go that wide. I'm actually thinking about certain shots that I want to take today that I need to go like more compressed, like 35-50. So we'll see. But I'm shooting the 24 right now. That's why it's a little tight for these vlog type segments. It's just so quiet. I love how quiet like going on a landscape shoot can be, just because, yeah, there's the wind. I'm gonna try and make it so that the wind can't brush the mic. I noticed in the last piece of footage it did, but it's just so quiet out here. Super nice. Bunch of condors just flying all over the place, just kind of cawing at everybody. I think it's awesome. There are ruins down that way. We're gonna go that way eventually. I'm just kind of sitting here enjoying myself. Always, don't ever forget, like, when you're shooting landscape to, like, you know, enjoy the actual place you're at, not just think about always taking a shot. Just sit on a bench and breathe. Just look at all the landscape changes that you can do in just one area. I mean, you've got the Kaibab formations here, and you've got some weird waxing formation here. It's just, when you adventure to these places, remember that you're also exploring history. Define your shots by the history that you're exploring, and it'll really help, you know, your image creativity. Take frequent breaks. It is steep. I didn't think 350 feet was a lot of feet. It's a lot of feet. I'm trying to cover the microphones so they don't have wind noise, but I doubt it. We'll see. I think that's kind of it for the episode. If you guys liked what you saw about landscape, if you want to do more in depth on landscape, because this is just like camera basics on landscape. I think Studio Alex will do like a couple more explanations, or like do like a Lightroom tutorial or whatever for the rest of this episode. But as for the outdoor portion, that's it, kids. Okay, so we got everything that we put in. Well, it looks like I put my video in here too. We don't need those, so I'm gonna remove those, not delete them from disk. That would be really upsetting, considering I just... Hello? Where did my... Alright, so these are all the photos that I took on our little trip into the wilderness, all of them landscape shots, of course. And so we're going to go into Develop and look at a couple of them. There are a couple that I want to look at specifically. This shot, but the darker version I took. Maybe it was this guy. Looks like a lot of these were overexposed, actually. Wow, did I fuck that up? I think I fucked that up. But the beauty is we shot raw, so we can just take exposure down a whole peg, and the video, or the photo is there. And that actually looks really good. That's the visitor center of Walnut Canyon. And I'll just take you through kind of what I'm doing for like basic editing, especially of landscape. So here I took the exposure down a whole point. In Lightroom, you can take them down fractions of points, like tenths of points, and get super accurate with it. I'm just kind of taking it down just a notch here. I use the sliders. I'm grabbing contrast, and I'm gonna probably put 30 contrast in there. The blacks and the shadows are kind of rough around here, so I'm gonna do -10 there just to kind of give them some definition. The whites I'm gonna bring up to about 15. Shadows, let's see, like how bad. We actually want to bring up the shadows a little bit. Highlights we'll bring up, or we'll take down just a little bit so we can have that nice sky. So we'll take that down to like, see if we take it up any, like right here, it's okay. We can see some cloud definition, but here we can get some of that blue sky as well. That's some of the stuff we want. We can actually see the condors that were flying all around, which is really cool here. But overall, I think you can see kind of the colors of the rocks. I'm going to bring up saturation just a little bit so we can get those colors of the rocks. If we go into color a little bit, we'll go ahead and just take the yellows, bring those up just a little bit, saturate those just a little bit more. The greens we'll bring out just a little bit more. Orange for sure we'll bring out the definition for. We'll actually pull back on the yellow just a little bit to bring the orange out. Red a little bit as well to bring out, like pop those oranges a little bit. And so that's what the finished photo looks like. You've already probably seen it in the actual video itself, but I want to show you kind of what my process is for editing each photo. So that was that one. Now here as well, I was taking a photo of some of the clothes that the Hopi people used to use in Walnut Canyon to shelter themselves on the cliffside of Walnut Canyon. And clearly I took some overexposed shots of this, or underexposed shots of this rather. That's a different photo. But this one is pretty open, pretty light, pretty there. So we're going to use that one. We're going to take exposure down just a couple pegs. And I like the color definition that I'm getting here on this side of the wall that's mostly in focus here. So we'll take that down just a couple pegs. We'll bring the contrast up probably about 25, because if you bring contrast up, it tends to make things... What would I do? Accidentally hitting things on my keyboard, folks. If you bring contrast down, it's going to make your interest lighter, or your image lighter.
which you don't necessarily inherently want because that takes away a lot of the color as well. See how we have orange here, we don't have orange as much here. So we want to bring it up just a little bit, but not too much that it's taking away a lot of our light. So we'll do that there, because the thing about taking pictures that aren't necessarily of like vast landscapes is more about just like the intricate details. You can see some people are graffitiing. That's just gross. Hate that. Is getting those intricate details of like people's lives and not inherently crushing those. So I want to bring the shadows down just a little bit so we can have kind of like that creepy vibe, but I'm going to bring the blacks just up a little bit. I had them at 60. I don't like that very much. So we're going to bring them up to like 40. Just so we can see a lot more detail within this corner. We want to bring the shadows down so we can see that it's getting darker over here, but we don't want to necessarily black it out completely. Whites we'll bring up just a little bit so we can get more definition in this rock face. I hate that that kind of accentuates that. I'm not super great at Lightroom, so I couldn't just and get rid of that. I know that's probably actually, you know, well, let's try it. Wow, that's super easy. Good job, Lightroom. Well done. Okay, so zoom is the thing I want to do. Cool. And that's gone. Look at that. No graffiti. Doesn't even exist, except it totally does, which pisses me off. And then we'll bring saturation up like 15. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to blow anything out. I'm going to bring up these oranges in my curves. I'll bring up a little bit more of the yellow too. Actually take the oranges back a little bit. Bring up some more of the red. Define that a little bit. Bring these blues up. Notice how here it's kind of bringing kind of like the moss off the wall. I don't want that a lot necessarily. I kind of want to match the wall face. So we're going to take greens down to like 18. Bring the reds, the oranges, and the yellows up. And I think this photo looks pretty nice. This is what it looked like before. So we kind of brought that orange back and opened up that remove the disgusting graffiti. And so, yeah, that photo is there. All right, so I came back to this photo that I took. This photo may not look like a lot to you guys, but this is not the main point of photography that I want to get across to you guys. This photo means a lot to me because I took this photo and then I kind of looked out into the openness of the canyon. I just kind of looked and with my eyes, and it brought me at peace. It brought me at ease. So this photo isn't like my greatest photograph that I've ever taken as a photographer, but it means a lot to me, so I'm going to try and salvage it as much as possible. It's very much overexposed, and what's sad about that is that has everything to do with me not being able to see the LCD screen as well, and so I would have retaken this photo. But anyway, excuses aside, I'm going to try and fix this photo. I'm going to do this as a little bit of rapid fire because I think this segment is going on too long a little bit. You kind of get the gist. So this will be the last photo I do, but I'm going to kind of speed this up just because you know kind of what I'm touching in all the settings over here. So that being said, I'm going to edit this photo, see if I can salvage it. So already here you can see that I've kind of fixed the sky a little bit. There's another condor. Oh, look, two of them. That's cute. Little glitches. They just look like little glitches. So that's kind of fixed there. What I'm going to do next is I'm kind of going to boost the saturation about 15 here, probably. Just kind of give some vibrance there. And I'm going to go to the HLS tab, or HSL tab. My dyslexia is ridiculous today. And I'm going to bring some saturation and luminance around to all. All right, so to finish off the photo, what I did is I took saturation, I boosted that orange like a lot. I'm probably actually going to boost a little bit of the red just to give me that definition of the rock back here. And then overall, I didn't really touch saturation for like blue or anything like that. I didn't really need to boost that because I know that most of it, especially in the sky, especially since I overexposed it, it's going to be a lot in luminance. And so I took the luminance of blue down. I actually brought the green up just a little bit to let the green pop off the darkness that I was bringing into the orange by taking orange down here. and taking the blue down here. So I let those kind of pop out and just bring some life to what otherwise would be a desert canyon. So that's pretty much it for you guys. If you guys liked me kind of going into the explanation of Lightroom and how I edit my photos and how I take landscape photography, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this helps you, let me know. If you have any other questions, put them in the comment section down below. I can definitely go into another video explaining more about landscape photography. Like I said, this is just like a basic DSLR how-to video. So if you guys have more questions with more of an advanced tutorial, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.